All right, so here we go. 9, 2. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is expand 2x minus y to the fourth. All right, so what do you remember about this?
You put it in plug for different, like 2x minus y times 2x minus.
Well, you could do that, absolutely. You could do that this way, but that's going to take a long time. And it would be really awful if that were like a 14 or something. I mean, that would be terribly long. So that isn't the way we're going to approach it. We're going to use Pascal's triangle. Remember that day? That lesson? Do you have your notes? You take notes in class?
Yeah.
Okay. So get your notes out for 9-2. And you'll see that when we go, well, whatever power we go to, we are going to have a bunch of numbers, and next to each of those numbers, we're going to put a 2x and a negative y. Is that sounding familiar now?
Yeah.
And the numbers can either come from building Pascal's triangle, or when we're doing the fourth power, the numbers are 4c4, 4c3, 4c2, 4c1, and 4c0. Always, whatever row or whatever power you're expanding to, you do 4c, or that power c, and then decrease that number. Okay? And then next to each of those numbers, you're going to have a 2x and a negative y. Those are the two components of your binomial. 2x, negative y. And these are all separate terms. So maybe I'll use a different color to denote. These are all individual terms here. What's the only thing left to do?
Simplify it.
Right, I put the powers on. Remember, if you're raising this to the fourth power, this will be a 4. The first 2x will be a 4. And then 3, 2, 1, 0. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So every problem like this that you do is going to be constructed exactly the same way. The numbers will be different because the problem will be different, but the structure is exactly the same. So now we simplify. So I will save time, I have these memorized. So 4c4 is 1. 2x to the fourth is 16x to the fourth because you have to take the 2 to the power also. And then that's just 1. Anything to the 0 power is 1. So that first term is just 16x to the fourth. Now, 4c3, if you typed it in on your calculator, it would say 4. Then I have 8x cubed, and then I have negative y, because it's now to the first power. So that will be negative 32x cubed y. This is 6, and again, you don't have those memorized, so you'll type that in on your calculator. Get 6, and then 4x squared, and then positive y squared, because when you square a negative, it's positive.
Yeah.
So 24x squared y squared. All right, that's 4 times 2x times negative y cubed. So negative 8xy cubed. And that's 1 times 1 times y to the fourth. So that last term is just y to the fourth. And there it is, all simplified. And you would do that no matter what power it got raised to. Now, obviously, the bigger the power, the more you're gonna have, the more terms. But that's all there is to it.
So the next one's just the same, but you only have to find it big.
Exactly. So we're gonna do exactly the same thing, but instead of finding all of it, we're gonna find like just this one or something. So, if I did do it all, let's see, this is to the 6th power. So my coefficients would be 6C6, 6C5, 6C4, and that's the one I want. So 6C6, 6C5, 6C4. This is the one I want because it says I want the 3rd term. So I don't need to write out the whole thing, I just need that one. But like before, it will have a 3x and a 4y. And now I have to put the powers on. Well, the powers count down, the powers on the x count down just like they do with the coefficients. So this would be 3x to the 6th, 3x to the 5th, 3x to the 4th. And if that's a 4, that's a 2, because they always have to add up to whatever power you're expanding it to. And now we just simplify. I think this is 15. And 81x to the 4th. And 16y squared. Remember, I have to apply the power to everything. So 15 times 81 times 16. I got 19,440 x to the 4th y squared. Whoops, we got one here. So that would be the 2nd, or excuse me, the 3rd term only. Okay? All right. Now, believe it or not, the next one is exactly the same idea. Exactly. Because in the problem that we just did, we had 2 components. We had a 3x and a 4y. In this problem, we have 2 components. We have, he gets a hit or he doesn't get a hit. Okay? He gets a hit or he doesn't get a hit. Now, it's 5 at bats. So that's like the power. So your coefficients are going to be 5C5, 5C4, 5C3, 5C2, 5C1, and 5C0. Now you don't need to write all those down because you're not looking for all of them. This is like you're just finding a single term. Which term do you want? Well, you want the one where he gets 3 hits. This would be 5 hits, 4 hits, 3 hits. So this is the number that we want. 5C5 means 5 tries, take them all. This would be all 5 hits. 5 tries, 5 hits. This is 5 tries, 4 hits. This is 5 tries, 3 hits. This is the one I want. Now, there's no X and Y in this problem. Instead, there's hit and no hit. So hit is 0.234. That's the probability that he'll get a hit. And then what do you get your calculator out for?
Subtract 1.
Exactly. So this will be 766.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you're all done except you need to put the powers on there. Okay? So remember, you want 3 hits. So the power
3 and 2.
So the power is 3 hits and 2 no hits? and then we just type that in. So I think 5C3 is 10, but you might want to type it in just to double check me. And I got 0.0752. Okay, whoop, there's somebody else in there now. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the last one, believe it or not, is exactly like this one, except this time we're rolling a die. So your probabilities aren't 0.234 and 0.766. Your probabilities are 1/6, right? You got 1 out of 6 chances. And if that's 1/6, that one will be 5/6. All right. So it's also a little bit more complicated because it says no more than 2 6s. So you're going to roll a die 10 times, and you want no more than 2 6s. Okay? So the coefficient, since you're rolling it 10 times, that would be 10C10, 10C9, 10C8, and so on, all the way down to 10C0. Those are the numbers we're talking about since we're rolling it 10 times. Now, this would be roll it 10 times, get 10 6s. Is that what I want? 9 6s. Now, I want the other end, don't I? So this would be 0 6s. This would be 1 6. This would be 2 6s. And aren't those the ones I want right there? Now, I just have to do 3 problems. Okay? I'm going to do 3 problems now. So 10C2 means I roll the die 10 times and I get 2 6s. So the probability of a 6 is 1/6, and not a 6 is 5/6. And I want 2 6s, and that must mean I get 8 of the others. All right, so that takes care of 2 6s. All right, so what's 1/6 going to look like? 10C1, 1/6 to the 1th, and 5/6 to the 9th. And then what does no 6s look like? 10C0, and then 1/6 to the 0, and 5/6 to the 10th. Okay? And then, so you can type that in. Make sure you're putting this in parentheses when you're raising it to a power. Type that in. You type this one in, type this one in. What are you going to do to get your final answer then? Add them. Exactly. You're going to add those up. You're going to add those up. So I'm going to let you do that while I come over here and ask a couple other kids here. Going to ask a couple if they have any questions, and then we'll double check because I've already done this problem. So we'll see if we get the same answer. All right, Monica, what question do you have for me?
On the 9.2 homework, I just have